15th, Bowling Green, Warren County City Planning Commission meeting. Mr. Peterson, if you would call the roll, please.
Certainly. Ms. Drain?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Gay?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Graham? Ms. Shaw? Mr. Starks?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Vitale?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Volkert?
Yes, sir.
Chair Warren?
Yes, sir. Commissioners, you have the minutes of our February the 1st meeting in your packet. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we call for a motion, please.
Second.
That's for the minutes. Okay. Who made the motion? I'm sorry, I'm a little bit.
Starks.
Mr. Starks?
Yes.
Ms. Vitale?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Volkert?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Drain?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Gay?
Yes, sir.
Chair Warren?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Commissioners, you have the subdivision site development plans in your packet for information. Are there any questions? All right, hearing none. Ben, do we have any old business?
No, sir.
We have no old business. We now enter into our public hearing. Mr. Moore?
Mr. Warren, I'd request that you order tonight that the record include all relevant statutory and regulatory provisions, the Commission's entire file for each application before you, and the qualifications of each staff witness. Finally, I'd request that you administer the oath to each of those witnesses.
Do y'all swear to tell the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Okay, our first public hearing tonight is 2024-02 DP. Dustin and Natalie Kroom have filed an application to amend the general development plan conditions on a tract of land containing approximately 15.7 acres located at 126, 130, 136, 146, and 150 Briar Creek Drive, and on portions of approximately 120, 127, 137, 141, 147, and 151 Briar Creek Drive. The area subject to this application is currently zoned RE residential state with the general development plan.
Yes.
Amy,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had a pre-application meeting on December 8th of 2023 instead of 24 there. So for the property that you mentioned, the current zoning is RE and F for floodplain. The current land use is agriculture, single-family residential, and vacant. And the future land use is agriculture and rural density residential. And again, the applicants are proposing to amend the development plan conditions for multiple properties that you mentioned that are located on Briar Creek Drive. The main purpose of the application is to amend the material restrictions for accessory structures within the development. And the applicants did supply a site plan, and that can be found on page 10 of your packets. Looking down to the development history, agriculture is the original zoning for the properties. The area subject to the development plan amendment was rezoned to RE in 2005 for your reference. If you look over on page 3 under development plan conditions, the proposed revisions are shown in bold font. So if you look down to development plan condition number 4, you can see the proposed changes there. All accessory structures, exterior material shall be brick, vinyl siding, painted metal, or wood siding. So they have elected to strike, they shall be constructed of the same exterior material as the primary structure. So those are the changes they are proposing. Looking over at page 1, the proposer complies with the majority of the criteria assessed in the review process. And remains consistent with the adopted comprehensive plan and is generally compatible with the surrounding area. Therefore, the staff recommendation is approval, but pending any public hearing testimony and discussion. So that's all we have for a staff report. Can answer any questions.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions for Amy? Okay, hearing none. Is the applicant here? Yes, sir. Do you have any comments you would like to make to this request?
If you wouldn't mind coming up.
Yes, sir. If you would state your name and address, please, sir.
Dustin Croom, 147 Briar Creek Road.
Mr. Croom, you swear to tell the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Dustin, just real quick, why the change? Why are you trying to change the outer structures to be something different?
Because I'm wanting to build an accessory structure, and I don't want to match the primary structure of my current residence. And there's already homes in the subdivision that have those same building materials.
So there's houses already that have different materials than the
Correct.
primary structures?
That's correct.
Okay. I mean, okay, perfect, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Croom. Commissioners, any other questions for Mr. Croom? All right, thank you, Mr. Volker. Is there anyone in the audience tonight that has an opposition to this request? Okay, hearing none, Commissioners would call for a motion, please.
I make the motion to approve the proposed general development plan amendment docket number 2024-02DP. Based on the testimony and documents presented in this public hearing, the proposed general development plan amendment is consistent with the adopted Focus 2030 comprehensive plan as demonstrated by its compliances with the objectives and action items presented in the staff report. Further, I find that there have been major changes of economic, physical, and social nature within the area of the property in question. I request the findings of fact and recommendations include a summary of evidence and testimony presented by the witnesses at this public hearing.
Second.
Mr. Volker?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Drain?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Gay?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Starks?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Vitale?
Yes, sir.
Chair Warren?
Yes, sir. The motion is approved, and it's the Planning Commission's final action, so nothing else needed. Our next item tonight is 2024-05 Z County. Nicholas and Megan Anderson have filed an application to rezone 1 acre, approximately 1 acre, located a portion of the property at 2355 Hadley Coron Road from Ag to RE Residential State with the General Development Plan. Jenny?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had a pre-application meeting back in October for the property over on Hadley Coron Road. The current zoning of the property is ag. The current land use is also ag, and then the future land use designation is also ag. So their concept plan can be found on page 10 of your all's packets. The applicants are proposing to rezone approximately an acre located on a portion of the property at 2355 from ag to RE residential estate in order to subdivide the existing residence on a smaller lot. The ag is the original zoning for the property, and staff found the application to be in compliance with the majority of the applicable items evaluated in the Focus 2030 comprehensive plan, and also generally compatible with the surrounding area. So looking down to the bottom of page 1, the proposal complies with the majority of the criteria assessed in the review process and is generally compatible with the surrounding area. There is one consideration that staff noted relating to the road width for Hadley Coron Road. So looking over to page 2, under transportation infrastructure, the property has frontage on Hadley Coron Road, a county-maintained rural local roadway with 50 feet of right-of-way and 16 feet of pavement width. This is less than the minimum county standard of 18 feet. However, only one additional lot is proposed to be created as a result of this application. And so with that, staff's recommendation is for approval pending public hearing testimony and discussion tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Commissioners, any questions? All right, thank you very much. Is the applicant here? Anything y'all would like to add? All right, thank you very much. Is there anyone in the audience tonight that has questions or opposition to this request? Okay. Hearing none, would call for a motion, please.
Make a motion to approve the proposed zoning map amendment together with and conditioned upon a general development plan docket number 2024-5Z County based upon the testimony and documents presented in this public hearing. The proposed zoning map amendment is consistent with the adopted Focus 2030 comprehensive plan as demonstrated by its compliance with objective and action items presented in the staff report. Therefore, the proposed zoning map amendment is in agreement with the adopted comprehensive plan. Further request this motion include a summary of evidence and testimony presented by the witnesses at this public hearing.
Second.
Commissioner Gay?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Starks?
Yes.
Commissioner Vitale,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Volkert,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Drain,
Yes, sir.
Chair Warren.
Yes, sir. The motion is approved and goes to Warren County Fiscal Court for final approval. Thank you all for being here tonight. Our next item is 2024-06, Z County Farm Credit Mid-American FLCA. The applicants and J&P Balance Farms LLP owners have filed an application to rezone 5 acres plus or minus located tract of land on the southeast side of Nashville Road, approximately 668 feet southwest of GN Glasscock Road, from ag to general business with a general development plan. Ms. Hurt?
Thank you, Chair Warren. We had a pre-application meeting back in December for the property you just referenced located on Nashville Road. This property should look familiar. It was here before you last month. We granted a future land use map amendment from agriculture to commercial, or I think it was low density commercial actually. Looking at the current zoning, you'll see that it's agriculture, and the current use is also agriculture, and the future land use is commercial. And the applicants are proposing to rezone the property in order to develop a financial institution on the property. In reviewing the applicable items from the comprehensive plan, we did find that the application complied with the majority of those items. We did have a couple of items for your consideration. The first, I'll just touch on prime farmland on page 2. You can see that we have noted that the entire property is classified as prime farmland. And then I'm actually going to jump to page 5 and look at the fourth action item, TR1.1, sorry. And that this action item states that in reviewing future development applications, the Planning Commission should identify the need to retain rights-of-way for roadways depicted in the long-range plans of the MPO and the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet. The active highway plan for the state of Kentucky includes a project to widen US 31W from the Warren-Simpson County line to Buchanan Park. Staff suggested that the applicants consider including an additional development plan condition requiring that future development on the property be located outside the limits of the right-of-way needed to accommodate the proposed project. And at the time we finalized the staff report, this item remained unaddressed. However, in speaking with the applicants this afternoon, I believe they have an update on this item. So I'll let them address that here in just a minute. But I believe that's all for the staff report. And you'll see on page 1 that our recommendation is for approval pending any public hearing testimony and discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hurt. Commissioners, I think Ms. Hurt addressed the item number 2, and we'll get to that when the applicants get here. Any other questions? All right, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Is the applicant here or their representative?
Good evening, Chris Davenport, 921 College Street. I swear to tell the truth.
Thank you, Mr. Davenport.
So I'll get to the issue with the future widening in just a second. Obviously, this is a 5-acre tract. We're requesting ag to general business. Mr. Balance is here. He's the owner of the property. I have with me Sophia Mazeko and Mark Madison. They're with Milestone Design Group. That is the site plan group that works with Farm Credit for their properties. And they're here in case there are any issues about the site issues that come up. It is flume compliant. We know that. We're not here on a flume night. So the issue with the taking. So after we filed the application, staff noted that the expansion of 31W, I guess currently it goes to the property just to the north of here, but the state has plans to widen US 31W farther south. So they asked that the applicant basically agree to a condition where they would not place either buildings, parking areas, or require landscape buffers within that proposed taking. At that time, staff did not know exactly what those plans were precisely, because frankly, I told my client, I told staff, before we agreed not to put something somewhere, we need to know exactly where that something is. So I did get plans from the state today. I've sent those to Ms. Hurt. I will admit that it was kind of Greek to me. Those plans are, if you're not an engineer, hard to decipher. But apparently, the plans call for about 22 feet of taking along the frontage. And I'm glad we've got this concept plan up, because when I talked with Sophia and Mark this afternoon, they tell me that the plan taking runs basically where that dashed line is on the concept. I think the concept's 25 feet off the property line currently, so that'll give you an idea. Our concept comes nowhere close to where the state wants to take anyways. So what I'm going to suggest we do is, if you look at the DPCs, particularly number 2, after we filed the application, one of the requests that staff made was they wanted a front building setback of at least 70 feet. So as I told Rachel, I mean, I was pretty sure we were already outside any plan taking. The fact that the idea that the state would take 70 feet would be a that would be a monstrous type of project. So we were already okay with the building. What I am going to suggest, though, just because now that we're here at the hearing, we're talking about 2 property lines, and I don't want there to be any confusion going forward. So what I would like to do is, we're going to amend number 2 to state, new buildings shall be oriented to face Nashville Road, period. Front building setback shall be no less than 70 feet from the current property line, period. No parking areas or required landscape buffers shall be constructed within 25 feet of the current front property line. I think that gets everything out of the proposed taking, number 1. And number 2, by saying the current line, there's no confusion later if there's a permit request after the taking, what property line we were referring to here tonight. That occurred to me today, that we may be creating confusion if we don't flesh that out. So I would submit to you, with that change, we preserved that ground, so when the state comes through, and frankly, my client doesn't want to construct something that's going to be taken anyways. The concept already allowed for it, so it was kind of a no-brainer. I don't really have anything more to add to this, other than I would just note that the conditions regarding building height and signs and exterior facades, we've matched the commercial properties immediately adjacent to the north.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Davenport?
Chris, do you mind to repeat the second portion of
Yeah.
that? We caught the first part about the building setback from the current front property line, and then what else was
Yeah.
included?
No parking areas or required landscape buffers shall be constructed within 25 feet of the current front property line. So I've added 3 feet of cushion there.
And you dropped the building out because of the front setback.
Correct. I'm just leaving building where it is. Being 70 foot off obviously is more than 25, so.
All right. Ms. Hurt, is that clear? Thank you. Commissioners, any other questions for Mr. Davenport? Before we call your clients up, is there anyone in the audience tonight that has a question or opposition to this request? Okay, hearing none. Mr. Davenport, if you would call your client.
Probably the best person to speak to that would be Mr. Balance. The two folks really are not employed by Farm Credit, frankly. I'll probably have more authority on Farm Credit's part than they do, to be frank with the commission.
Okay.
But if Mr. Moore thinks it'd be helpful for Mr. Balance to agree to that, I have no heartburn over it either way.
I trust Joe Neal.
I do too.
Mr.
All right.
Balance, would you step
Mr.
up,
Balance,
please?
would you come to the microphone, please? Mr. Balance, if you'd state your name and address, please, sir.
Joe Neal Balance, 7114 Three Springs Road, Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Swear to tell the truth?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Balance.
Mr. Balance, I've made a slight change to the development conditions here tonight that ultimately Farm Credit and you will have to sign when we submit those to the Planning Commission. Are you agreeable to that change? And the change was, we're not going to build anything within 25 feet of the roadway.
Yes, yes, I'm agreeable.
And will you sign that condition when it's presented
Yes,
to
sir.
you? That's all the questions I have.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Balance.
Hopefully they can get us a stoplight at Woodburn in the deal.
Mr. Balance, you can go ahead and sit down. All right.
That was Hamp's decision. I will just add.
All right. Commissioners, you've heard the report. We call for motion, please.
I make the motion to approve the proposed zoning map amendment together with and condition upon the general development plan docket number 2024-06Z County, based upon the testimony and documents presented at this public hearing. The proposed zoning map amendment is consistent with the adopted Focus 2030 comprehensive plan as demonstrated by its compliance with the objectives and action items presented in the staff report. Therefore, the proposed zoning map amendment is in agreement with the adopted comprehensive plan. Further, I request that this motion include the summary of evidence and testimony presented by the witnesses at this public hearing.
Second.
Mr. Starks?
Yes.
Ms. Vitale?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Volkert?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Drain?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Gay?
Yes, sir.
Chair Warren?
Yes, sir. The motion is passed and goes to Warren County Fiscal Court for final approval. Mr. Peterson, any other discussion items? I think all the commissioners received your email regarding our meeting of March 14th, 21st, excuse me. So that will be, and we will meet again here in 2 weeks. Thank you all for being here tonight, and the meeting is adjourned.